Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and Degenerates, and today we'll end our Western as ass-kicking set with Atomic Blonde, starring Charlize Theron and directed by David Leitch, who's one half of the directors of John Wick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also got James McAvoy and John Goodman.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of Delphine's actress, Sofia Boutella from Kingsman fame.
Yeah.
And a lot of other well-known British actors too, but for the most part, it's focused on Charlize Theron and James McAvoy, and it's set during the very end of the Cold War.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't really expect that going into this, because the first time I watched this movie was through the pandemic. Like, I never saw it. It came out like 5 years ago. Never saw it in theater. Never really went out. I don't think it went on theater here. Did it?
It did for a bit, but like word of mouth wasn't like people weren't going crazy for it, like say John Wick.
Yeah, and I understand why, because after John Wick blew up, there was just so many clones.
Yeah,
and I can't deny some of those clones are good. Like nobody, you gotta admit, nobody is a John Wick clone.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, really? No. Okay.
Yeah.
It's very much that. Like, mundane guy, dark past, suddenly snaps.
Okay.
Yeah. We get a lot of those. And to say that this would be riding on the tailcoats of John Wick's hype, I would disagree. It's a completely different movie from what John Wick was trying to do. This is more of a spy movie, just because it has a bit of it's from the same director, and it has a couple of action scenes with very long pan shots. I really can't put this in the same department as John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one had a bit more storytelling compared to John Wick. Well, I mean, not to say that John Wick doesn't have any storytelling, but this one had a more convoluted, and their plot was like, I don't know, it wasn't just go to point A to point B, kill a lot of people on the way to point B. It wasn't like that. So I'm kind of happy watching this was a very different experience compared to watching something like John.
Yeah, I watched this during the height of lockdown too, because I'm like, shit, we're going nowhere. Might as well watch this.
Yeah, it was on Netflix, so I'm like,
yeah. Like, during those days, you would discover like hidden gems. Like, I've never heard of this movie. I hear good things, but I'll see it for myself. And like one of our mutual classmates from high school really liked it, so I'm like, I trust her enough to know that she likes good movies. So I'll take her word for it, because she kept singing its praises when it came out in 2017. So I'm like, I didn't pay attention to it then. I might as well pay attention to it now. And I came out from that watch with like, I regret not seeing it in theaters, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a Cold War movie that once again is set during the very end of the Cold War, with the spies and other espionage types, and you see the opening is very something that would almost come out of like, say, the grittier James Bond movies, like Casino Royale, how it opens with Gascoigne being run over by I forgot the Russian's name, but he gets run over by the Russian spy, and
this rogue KGB agent.
Yeah, and he executes him, and you don't really know why, but you find out that he must have been Lorraine's lover at one point.
Okay. Oh, well, yes, there's a thing, like, they never expanded on that. Well, I'm kind of okay with it. Doesn't really affect the story.
Yeah, you don't really know if it's a love thing or if it's like a one-night fling. So you're like, I maybe love her.
Well, if you got a photo of a person, I would say it's more than just one night thing. But the reason why the Russian went after the guy is because the guy's watch had a list of names, which are names of double agents. So people who would be probably working for the British, but are actually Russian agents. Yeah. Look, this movie gets way more convoluted than is. It was advertised as an action movie. It came out as a very stylized Bridge of Spies.
Yeah, a better version, to say the least.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, And like you find out that 10 days later, Lorraine's brought in for a debriefing with Toby Jones and John Goodman. John Goodman's Emmett, and Toby Jones is the head of, I guess, MI6 or whatever department.
Well, no, he's just like a superior to
Lorraine.
Like Charlie, to Lorraine, Charlize Theron's character. The guy behind the glass is probably C.
Yeah.
Is this like code name, which is like M? Like somewhere in James Bond, which is cool.
Yeah, and then she gives them a debrief of what the mission they gave her 10 days ago, which is Gascoigne's dead. You have to go and to retrieve the list, because that list is important, because every agent is going to be compromised if they get their hands on the list of whichever nation, because if Russia gets it, all our agents are fucked.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, I got that list turned around. Not bad. But yeah, but MI6 also has like, hey, you got an optional mission as well. There's an agent called Satchel.
Yeah.
And we don't know who this person is. They never explained who it was. They never showed us in the beginning who the fuck Satchel was. If you can you try looking for it?
Yeah. And try to bring him in or take him out, because he's considered a traitor to the crown. So that's your other optional mission. And your person of interest in Berlin is David Percival, who's our man on the ground, but he has gone rogue. He is feral. He's incorporated himself into the life in Berlin at the time. And Percival is played by James McAvoy, which I say, outside of Professor X, this is his most unhinged performance. You're like, I didn't know you had this in you. Aside from Split 2. Because he in Split and him here, you're like, I didn't know you had this gear, and I'm glad you're using it.
I like this side of. I would love to see James McAvoy play a spy more often.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very unique take on a spy. Charlize Theron, to be honest, she is the main character here, but she is a spy, like how we know what spies are. They sleep with like beautiful people. They wear attractive clothing and they do the espionage thingies. Well, James McAvoy's just rough and gritty, spits out philosophy kind of spy.
Yeah.
Like you don't expect this person to be a spy, which is such a unique take on it.
Yeah. And then you find out from like his intro that he's working with Spyglass to get the list, but since Gascoigne is dead, he doesn't have the list. But Spyglass is like, no, I committed it to memory. He's like, interesting.
All right. Thus making Spyglass more,
valuable.
Valuable.
Yeah, and Spyglass is a Stasi officer trying to defect to West Berlin, trying to leave East Berlin. So that's why he's making deals with Percival. It's like, hey, if I give you the list, you'll get me out of this side of the wall. And then Lorraine goes to Berlin, and she's supposed to be picked up by Percival, but he's late. And then she's made out by the KGB, which from the get-go, they start asking sus questions. She's like, oh, I feel like Lorraine's trapped, but once they go into the tunnel, she handles business like a badass. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, where she just like legit just grabs the steering wheel and turns it and crashes it into a barrier. I love how that one Russian guy's like, what the hell are you doing? I was thinking, is she supposed to be doing this?
But yeah, Lauren takes care of business, and you're like, she can definitely handle herself easily. But she needs Percival to tell her how Berlin works, and because he's in deeper, so he knows the city better than she does.
Yeah, he knows every nook and cranny of that whole fucking city. I love how they introduce each other. He's like, hi. And she shoots at him for being late. And I gotta love the 911. That shit was a good car.
Yeah. And then later that night, he sneaks into her place to just point the fact that, like, if I wanted you followed, or if I wanted to bug you, I would have done it by now, and you would never know.
I do love it that she does beat the shit out of him first, and like pin him down to the bed. And he was like, "You got balls!" Like you for sneaking up there. I was like, "Oof."
Yeah.
But yeah, Yeah, he did show his competency as a spy,
Yeah.
which I really like.
And then she goes to the watchmaker and is like, hey, I need information. And he's like, come back later. Tomorrow when we're about to close. I'll give you something.
I would say he is the most like that actor is the most underutilized actor I've seen in like cinema. Like he looks great and for sure he acts great. But every time he's in it, he's either killed off or he's just in a very small role.
Yeah.
Please use that actor more. I don't know your name, but you got a good face. You were great in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
I want to see more.
For a while, I thought he was Guy Pearce from like Iron Man 3. I was like, nah, it can't be him.
Nah.
And then she goes to the next day. She goes to Gascoigne's apartment. She thinks the list is there, and he finds out Gascoigne and Percival knew each other, even though Percival never brought it up. She's like, "This is weird."
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody sends the German police in, and you're like, maybe it's Percival. It could be Percival because he
is the only one who knows that she went to the guy's apartment, which is like. There's a part where you're like, oh, fuck. In Berlin, you don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
And I was very skeptical of James McAvoy's character, but also at the same time, like, maybe he's a good...
Yeah.
I don't know. I will be a horrible spy because I got horrible trust issues.
Yeah. And then that's when you get the second action piece where you see Lorraine just beat up these police officers. Not too lethally. You're like, at least they still breathe. At least. Mm-hmm. Except the guy with the hose, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, she does knock them down, how would I say, pacifist route?
Yeah.
Where she doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
But I would say this was probably my least favorite action scene.
Yeah.
I'll be rating the action scenes. There are good ones in this one. But this one was a little bit off to me, and it was too, how would I say, flashy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I don't really see it working.
I like the last bit where the police surround her, 2 men surround her. Yeah, does a Watch Dogs thing, and just knocks them out. Like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And later that night, she goes to like a bar and then meets this one Russian guy, Baramov, I think his name is, and then he's introducing himself, and then Delphine interjects, and that's where you meet Sophia Boutell's character. It's like, hey, my friend owns a club. Why don't you come by sometime soon? And she's like, I'll think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes to the watchmaker, and he tells him that his contact is on the other side of the wall. That's why she has to put on the red hair, new identity.
Yeah, get a passport, go across. They're like, hey, if you don't come back here at 6 p.m., you're arrested. Yeah. And I'm like, damn. I didn't know the situation in Berlin was kind of like this.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Also, it's because it's literally like days before the wall comes down, so everybody is
It's on the edge.
Yeah. Because like I love how all of these events are happening while much more bigger things are happening outside. You hear like, oh, there are protests outside the wall. Is the wall coming down? And like if you know your history, you're like, huh, small players in a bigger scale. That makes sense. Being in like a spy movie.
Mm.
She tries to retrieve Gascoigne's body, gets denied, and then she's followed by KGB officers while she's heading towards the watchmaker's contact, and then she tries to take them out, but it's like this big blonde one who's more than a match for her. Like, I hope they have a second showdown.
I don't know if like you recognize the actor. He was in Nobody and in John Wick as well, playing as the eldest brother. Yeah, of like that Russian lobster guy.
Yeah, and then she gets
that guy always gets. Sorry, but like that guy always gets the shit beaten out of him. He's either dead or very like
almost dead.
Yeah, but I hate that scene where like he had the keys stuck to his cheek. I'm like, oh god, pull it out. And he does. I'm like, oh god.
And then she meets with her contact, who's Merkel, who's played by Bill Skarsgård. Which like, I never saw your name in the opening credits, so that's cool.
Yeah, neither did I. I was like, shit. And I love his character. He's not there a lot, but he is very like I don't know. I just like that character who's like very useful to the plot, but comes in and out of a scene without us noticing. Like he is the guy you get to get you the shit you need kind of person. That's cool.
And he is one of the people that sells the most valuable thing at the moment, which is intel, what she needs on the list and who Satchel is. And then she goes back, and then later that night, you see that Percival is following the traitorous ex-KGB guy to the watchmaker, and the KGB guy tells the watchmakers like, "Hey, I am open for business. If anyone wants to do business with me, I have the list. Tell them to contact me." But unknown to him, Percival is following him, and he sees Percival. It's like, "You're not as good as this at the spy shit as you thought you were." And Percival just turns around with an ice pick and just kills him. Rick, I guess that's the end of him.
Yeah, the dude's gone. Yeah. But now Percival has the watch. He has the list.
Yeah.
Which makes me think like, is having Spyglass relevant now?
Right.
What's gonna happen to him since Percival has the list?
Yeah.
He doesn't need it.
But meanwhile, Delphine tries to shoot her shot, but Lorraine's like, "Why do you have a gun on you? What are you trying to do?" Just like, "I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first year. I'm sorry."
It's just like part of like French intelligence.
Yeah.
But they do hit it off.
Yeah.
Whatever. People sexy, I guess.
Yeah. And then her agency is concerned because they're like, "You're too distracted," and they send a CIA guy to be like, "Hey, you have a job to do. Don't forget it. And you still need the list, and you still need to identify Satchel. What the fuck is up?"
Yeah. And like she does say, "I can't wait to go home."
Yeah.
And I was like, that was an American accent.
Yeah.
Hold on, something's up. But I was like, maybe it's just Chinese Sarah. She's from South Africa, so I'm like, okay, maybe it's just acting.
Yeah.
But I was like,
you're like, well, she hates the guy during the interview because she calls him a cocksucker. You're like, something's off though.
Yeah, but something's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, she goes to Percival because someone calls her and it's like, "Hey, Satchel's compromised." And then she goes to Percival's like, "Hey, do you know anything about the list and about Satchel?" It's like, "No." But there's the guy called Spyglass who says he's memorized the list. And she's like, "But you said you never met him. Why are you talking as if you've met him?"
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. It was like more of like he was like, "Oh, he will harm a fly" or something like that. Like he knows his characteristics.
Yeah.
Where he said at the beginning, "I thought you don't know the guy."
Yeah.
He was like, "I lied."
Yeah. He straight up admits it, and then the next day they go to East Berlin and ask Merkel to help. And he find out through dealings that Percival made a deal with Spyglass to bring his family to West Berlin, which makes sense because East Berlin is not in the best state at the time. And they want a better life. Who can blame them? Even though they don't know the tide is very swiftly changing. So if they just waited a few days, they'd be like, "Oh, look, the wall's down. We can be normal people again."
Yeah, now that you think of it, since we're getting into that scene, that bothers me now. If they just hunkered down, waited, they could have been fine.
Yeah.
But anyway,
she tries to smuggle him in the middle of a protest, which seems to work at first because there's too many people, and Merkel gives a signal that says "raise your umbrellas." And the protesters' minds are like, "Oh, we're moving as one, protesting the Berlin Wall." But in actuality, they're like, "Oh, we need to smuggle this guy." Like some people know, some people don't know. Others are just like, "Oh, I guess this is for solidarity." Okay.
Yeah, but it does block the view of some snipers around the city. So, James McAvoy's character, Percival, his job is to get his wife and daughter out of the city, while Charlize Theron is supposed to get Spyglass out of the city in a completely different route.
Yeah.
But as soon as Percival gets to the car, you see Spyglass go down.
Yeah.
And you see where the smoke came from. It's coming from James McAvoy's gun. I'm like,
yeah.
He's tying up loose ends. I get it.
Yeah.
He has the watch. He doesn't need it. By the way, we never get to find out what happened to the family.
No, we do, because they reach West Berlin and like he's with Emmett and they're just talking like, oh, you made me lose a Stasi officer, who has a memory like photographic memory.
Oh,
so the family's fine. Fine, I guess. You don't really know what happens per se, but yeah. Lauren tries to take the spyglass to another building to help cover his bleeding, but she's followed, and she knows she's followed, so she takes care of business. And this one shot is just fucking nuts. You're like, holy fuck!
I love this shit. So she has to take care of this guy who has pretty much a gut wound.
Yeah.
And as she's doing that, this entire one shot, as I said, was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And amazing. This is what we were here for. I don't want to see no Captain America perfect fighting shit where he doesn't break a sweat. I want her to cough up blood, break a rib, which she probably did.
Yeah, like when he hits her with the machine bag gun, you're like, the bag with the machine gun, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's not flashy. It's so street level tactics, but it works so well. Where the guy just grabs a bag of something, it's metal, and tosses it at her. And I was like, what the fuck?
And you hear the impact, like, oh fuck. And like, she kicks the guy with a gunshot down the stairs. She's like, if he's not dead, he is now.
Yeah. But like the guy gets back up and like fights her again. The bigger guy, pretty much like pulls out a knife, but of course she takes care of him how she wishes, and just like you could tell just how tired these people are. I'm like, even me, I was like, oh, even I need a breather. Jesus Christ!
She gets the guy with a gut shot again, and he gets up. He's like, and the guy she stabbed like 5 times. He's like, come on, I still got it in me.
No, I don't. No, she stabs him in the throat.
Yeah,
doesn't she?
And he's like, you know what? I'm done for.
Hey, props to the stunt guys and probably Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I know she did most of her stunts here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like, please don't hurt yourself while doing these, but like,
yeah,
I really appreciate that like, they're going above and beyond to give us good action.
Yeah.
Finally.
All the action here is like, this point onwards is very brutal. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, she takes out the guy with a machine gun part. You're like, that's effective and efficient. Good on you.
Yeah. Well, you gotta love how that one Russian guy, or was he from Berlin as well?
The blonde guy?
No. There was another guy who was just like, wait. You just hear a bang.
Like, there's no waits here, sir. And then she gets ambushed by the blonde guy. She's waiting for them in the corner, and then she shoots one guy, and the blonde guy gets the better of her.
And again, we get another brutal fight scene. It's just non-stop. Oh, thank God Spyglass helps a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know how, I don't know, like you see how when people are just tired, but they just kind of have to like keep going.
Yeah.
That was both of them, and I was like, how are you gonna end this?
Then when she uses that heavy metal thing to smack him, like, oh fuck. How is he still standing? She grabs a thing and then just bang, and he just goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I don't know if it was scripted. So there was the gun the guy was holding was the silencer, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was silenced. When he gets knocked back into the table, he still has the gun, but he lets go of it for a little bit. So it's like inches away from his hand. When he gets up, he remembers he has the gun, tries to grab for it, and jumps out of his hand, and he just grabs the lamp instead and smacks Charlize Theron. I was like, is that part of it? Was that supposed to happen? I'm not sure. Or were they improvising as they went? Like, I don't know. It was great little details that I saw I had fun with the scene.
And then he starts choking her out, and she stabs him in the eye, and then the
With
throat.
like the cork, like corkscrew
Yeah.
thingy.
And then you pan to Spyglass, and he's like white as snow. We're like, oh my god, you need to get that checked out quickly.
Mm.
And then
we get a solid car chase scene.
the guy's still alive, and she just shoots him twice and then runs him over. Like, if he's not dead, I don't know what will kill him.
Yeah, this guy was built like a tank. Like, he got stabbed in the eye and then the forehead by a corkscrew.
Yeah.
And had the energy to jump on the car.
Yeah.
I would have been like, I lost an eye and a forehead. Like, my forehead has a huge hole in it.
I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? I can take a break.
And then you think they escape, but like Spyglass gets shot another time. You're like, maybe they do have time to make it out, and then you see, poof, like, oh shit.
Yeah, and sadly, Spyglass dies in the river.
Yeah.
Where he just his lifeless body. He pretty much just. I think he just bled out. He didn't drown. He bled out.
Yeah, or it's probably a combination of like losing consciousness in the water. Like, well, there's nothing I can do.
No, he wasn't losing consciousness. He saw that his leg was stuck.
Yeah, he saw his leg was stuck, and he's trying to hold his breath while blood was coming out of him. He's like, oh, that's not a good combination.
So I guess he bled out then.
But yeah, she is found by Merkel, who she tells like something went wrong. Something had to go wrong. Someone from the inside wanted this to go the way it did. And they're like, I think I know who it is. And then she goes back to West Berlin, and then she trashes the place she's staying to find the bug that Percival planted, and she sees that she remembers the coat he gave her, and he's like, oh fuck. It's in my coat. And then she also tells Delphine, like, he played both of us. And then that's when Delphine calls up Percival, was like, hey, you don't know who you're messing with. And he's like, please don't do this. You don't know who you're messing with.
Yeah, sadly Delphine didn't make it either.
Yeah.
It was a rough scene.
Yeah.
It was well choreographed, but it was rough.
Yeah.
Where he chokes her out.
Yeah. I did laugh when he gets the knife stuck in his shoulder. He's like, ah, fuck.
Oh, yeah. He had a knife stuck in his back.
Yeah.
And then he, like, accidentally, like, fell backwards to a wall and pushed it even more. He was like, ah!
Then when he smacks her with the phone, we're like, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Lauren comes into her own apartment seeing that Delphine's pretty much gone.
Yeah. And then she finds that, she gets the intel that she got of, first of all, making deals with the Russians for the list. And she's like, oh, that's why. That's what she blackmailed him with. That's why she was killed.
Yeah. And I love this whole monologue that James McAvoy had. I don't memorize it, but it was a great monologue.
You think you're fighting for the right side, and then one day you wake up and you realize that you've been Satan's little helper all along.
Well, that's just with any spy, don't you think?
Yeah. All this is going down, like the very moment the wall's coming down. And they're like, I like the setting. And then he's like, you know what I've learned after all this time? All these backstabbings is that I fucking love Berlin, and he gets shot.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, once he says, I fucking love Berlin, and it just goes down, I was like, oh, what a cool way to go out.
Yeah. And
like the nitty gritty, he loved it the most. Because when you see a photo of him as a British agent, he's so cut and clean.
Yeah.
And then here he pretty much looks like Tyler Durden from Fight Club.
Yeah. And then Lauren tells him, like, you probably forgot, and you keep telling yourself what's right and wrong, but you probably forgot what that is a long time ago. And then she just ends him and gets the list. And then back at the briefing, like, her boss is like, you better hope that's enough evidence to suggest he is Satchel. Otherwise, you were in deep shit. And then she gives him the evidence. Even she edits some. You're not sure that he is Satchel though, because she edits tape to make it sound like he's Satchel. Like,
no. Remember when she, like, before she pulls the trigger, she was like, "We all know who you are," and she goes, "Satchel." And James McAvoy's character's like, "Oh, that's how it's gonna be," and you're like, oh wait, aren't you Satchel though? Like all of us in the audience are like, you're Satchel, right? And then she shoots someone like, oh my god, she's Satchel. Oh shit. Yeah, so she's pretty much the spy, like in MI6.
Yeah.
But then we come back and we see her entire plot. She uses the photos that Delphine took. She did like a little bit of audio editing, which for some reason blended so well in the 80s.
Yeah, for like, what kind of magic are you using, Lorraine?
Right? I was like, that's very seamless. How'd you do that?
Yeah. I know. Suddenly the boss is like, look, your mission never took place. Same stuff, like, and this briefing never happened. And you're let go effective immediately. We're starting a new slate by the new decade. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And she pretty much tells Cena, it's like, hey, what do I wear when I meet the queen? And I was like, damn, okay. Which she does, and then 3 weeks later? 3 months later?
I would say weeks.
Yeah. We're in Paris, and she meets up with a Russian, and you're like, what?
He calls her Satchel, Rick.
So are you Satchel or are you not Satchel?
Movie, then, please.
Yeah. And I do love this whole scene where, again, it's a one-shot. Kind of.
Yeah.
Where she grabs a gun out of, like, an ice chest. And I was like, the whole time I was watching this, I was like, who the fuck puts a gun in an ice chest? She just got here. Who fucking put it? And she pretty much takes care of everybody.
Yeah.
Shoots a guy in the throat, and pretty much reveals to him that, hey, I wasn't really working for you. I'm not really working for the MI6. I'm working for myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And she's like, I want my life back. Well, and I was like, what do you mean?
I love the line
what
of,
does
like,
this all mean?
Every false piece of information right there in the Iron Curtain, every information you gave me was a bullet in my fucking gun. You're like, if that's any line to go out on, shit.
Yeah, while the guy's just choking in his own blood.
Yeah.
And then you find out that, like, Skarsgård was actually one of the, like, the guys who put the icebox there.
Yeah.
So she had it all planned out. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then she has a moment in the elevator where, like, no words are spoken, but, like, it says 1,000 things. You're like, oh.
Yeah. Like, she's so fucking done.
Yeah.
And you see the watchmaker. You see, what's his name again? The Skarsgård's character.
Merkel.
You see Merkel. You see the watchmaker. Then she gets on the jet, and you see John Goodman. So they're like,
he's like, cocksucker? Really?
Really? And it's just like, I had to make it believable. Her with her English, with her American accent, it was like, oh shit, she's CIA the whole fucking time, so she's a triple agent.
Right.
So I was like, what? And I was really trying to wrap my head. So, is she a CIA agent that works for MI6 that is trying to be a double agent for the Russians? So if anything happens or she fucks up, it goes to MI6 instead of CIA, which is a very smart thing. And I was like, wow, it's not just shooty bang bang movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was great. That was fun.
And we reached the end of the movie, and, like, I'm not sure if they'll make a sequel because it did do particularly well in the box office, but I do like this movie. I hope maybe one day they do make a sequel.
I don't know. I feel like this is fine.
Oh,
because her whole triple spy thing already got revealed. There's no magic or there's no oh my god moment that she could give us, knowing the fact that she's CIA. If there is a sequel and she goes, oh, I'm actually Russian, then we're kind of like, oh, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
So I feel like this movie is fine on its own. It could just stay as is. It doesn't need a sequel. It's a great movie. I'll give it that.
Yeah. What would you rate this?
Yeah, well, I've pretty much given it praise. the action's fucking great, but it's not everywhere, which I like. I like having slow moments where you see how the spy thing works out and how they do it. Sure, it's not realistic, for sure. If an actual spy watched this movie, he was like, no, we don't do that shit. We're not very flamboyant and loud. And, like, at some points, she did say that, oh, you ticked off the Berlin guards, that's why that's why you're late. It's like, yeah, but I took care of them. And the guy goes, oh, that's why you're good. I was like, what? No. That's a little bit weird. But yeah, some scenes here are great. The characters, I would say, they're not really that fleshed out. Like, Delphine kind of needed more work, but she was great. The character of Charlize Theron, I'm a little bit, like, 50-50 on. McAvoy's character is probably my favorite out of this entire movie. But yeah, I would give this movie probably an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10. If you're a fan of action scenes and spies and double crosses and backstabbing shit, you'll like this really, really well. It's not a John Wick movie. Don't believe anybody when they say, "Oh, it's like John Wick but with a girl." It's not. No. It's a league of its own, and I like it to state.
Okay. I shall give this an 8 out of 10. Like you said, the action is pretty great. And the setting, I like the setting most of all. Character-wise, the two characters that really stick out are Lorraine and Percival. And that's about it. Development-wise, I think David gets the better end on that. Like, I do like Lorraine, but like I need a tad bit more of her character. But that's not saying she's a bad character. She's a pretty good character, but I just want a bit more from her. And then the rest, you're like, you're cool, but Delphine, you're like, oh, you're the standard love interest of this movie, I guess. That's cool. And Myrtle, you're like, he's cool, but again, I want to know more about him. And since the Cold War ends, I guess you're like, I guess he doesn't really have something to do unless he stays in the espionage business. So, whatever. But yeah, I really do like this movie. I again regret not seeing it in theaters. I wish I was back in 2017 to support it. But it is a very underrated but a very good gem to watch, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah, and since we're done with our Western lineup, like the next week we'll be focusing on action movies from our side of the world. So stay tuned for that if you're a fan of those movies. But yeah, that's been our video on Atomic Blonde. If you want to see more content from us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We also have a Facebook, Spotify, and TikTok under the same name. Facebook to see us react to trailers, stream video games, and about our lives from time to time. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. And Spotify to hear us on the go. December we uploaded RRR and Man of Steel, so if you're a fan of those movies, please check those out. And also, individually you can find me at Gandalfus995 on IG and Twitter. Well, I'm not really active on IG anymore, so maybe just Twitter. You can follow me there. But how about you?
Oh, you can find me at Instagram. On Instagram at JomGUM_.
Well, they can add.
That is my other account. Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it is my other account.
And that's all the time we have for this video, at least, folks. So we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.